Good morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute. It's hashtag finally Friday. You made it through another work week. Congratulations. The weekend is almost upon us. And hey, we got a 3-day weekend coming up. We'll have more on that. Haven't seen him in like forever, but Frank Cooper is my co-host this morning. Frank, how are you?
Doing good, Ty. Sorry, man. I overslept from the Christmas break. I didn't wake up until this morning. My bad, man.
Oh, well, you know, it's all right. It's good to see you. Always good to see you. And I know you're very excited because your Kansas City Chiefs made a rousting comeback this season. They're the number 2 seed. Always good to have Frank with us when he does join us on Fridays. He's a busy guy these days, by the way. Anyway, we're going to talk some sports later in the show. We'll have some HCC news and announcements as well. Stick around for that. We are back on HCCTV with this show. That's right. You can catch us live 10 a.m. every morning. We're in session, just about every morning we're in session at HCC on Facebook Live, YouTube, but now you can catch our rebroadcast at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. on HCCTV. Frank, they can also follow us in all social media.
Absolutely. So right now we're streaming live on Facebook Live and YouTube as well. So for YouTube, hit the notification bell for Houston Community College, HCC Up to the Minutes for all daily episodes, Monday through Friday. Also Facebook, we're also on Facebook, Houston Community College District, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well. So let's grow the show.
All right, Frank, stick around. We'll be talking with you soon. I know you're going to be interviewing this next guest. Fascinating story involving a film with a NASA astronaut we got from the Houston Area Parkinson Society, the executive director, Kathleen Crist, who's also our Film Friday guest. Good morning, Kathleen.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
We've been promoting this story all week. It sounds fascinating, very interested in this film. So if you stick around, Frank's going to be talking to you in about 10 minutes. All right, we'll be back with her shortly, but we want to kick things off this morning with one of the presidents of our colleges, from the president of HCC Southeast College. Please welcome Dr. Frances Villagran-Glover. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Todd. Happy Friday. Good to see you.
Happy Friday. I know it's a Friday and registration is underway and we got classes started on Monday. But first things first. Back on New Year's Eve, as a matter of fact, we all got an email from the chancellor, and classes aren't delayed, but the in-person portion of classes are delayed for at least the end of January. Things are going online. Maybe you can break that down and what it means to your students.
Sure. And first and foremost, we look at when we're looking at the safety of our students. That's what we're looking at, is ensuring that because of the variants, the COVID variant, the Omicron variant, we really were intentional, really thought hard about what was best for our students, our faculty and staff. And so we met over the holidays, and New Year's Eve was also my birthday. So yeah, you saw on New Year's Eve a message come out from the chancellor indicating that we would not delay the start of classes, but delay the modality. And thankfully, we're all comfortable now. Our students have the resources. We have the support to provide them, as well as faculty. So we will have the majority of our classes online for the first 2 weeks. Now, there'll be some classes that will be face-to-face just because of the nature of the classes. So we really encourage our students. We sent them information and communication about looking at the classes, ensuring that they check their classes to make sure that they indeed, which ones are online and which ones are face-to-face.
And it may be worth mentioning the classes you mentioned that are taking place face-to-face are more or less workforce instruction classes, something like welding, which is hard to teach online. But those classes, quite honestly, during the pandemic have been done very safely in small groups, and I guess they'll continue to do so. So those students don't have to worry about that.
Right. And our students have been wonderful. They really have, during the whole pandemic, during the whole COVID, about making sure they wear their masks in class, make sure they're social distancing, make sure they're washing their hands. And HCC has done a great job ensuring that we have all those resources available on every campus, as far as making sure that we all protect ourselves from the virus.
So when students and hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed that students will be coming back in early February. And I guess all that is subject to change depending on how Omicron shakes out. They say it's peaking. They say it may peak. I don't think anyone really knows what's going on right now, but we're trying to do the best we can. So we're asking our students just to be flexible because that target date is the beginning of February. But if things get worse, things could change.
Exactly. And you said it, Todd. The key word is flexibility. And, just ensuring that our students know that we're here to support them. If they have any challenges with online, the modalities, with classes, with getting access to Wi-Fi or laptops, that we're here to help them. That we're available via Zoom. Our libraries are available for them, our tutoring, all those services, just to let the students know, just because we're online doesn't mean our services stop. We still have our support services needed for them to be successful in their classes.
And registration is underway. Classes start on Tuesday. So they start early next week. We have Monday off, 3-day weekend. Right. And then we've got Second Start, which will still be coming up. There's a lot of opportunity to get registered now. And it's important to register early because I imagine when we do get back to the in-person classes, they're still going to be small.
Exactly. I do want to also point out that we're open tomorrow from 9 to 1. So if the students need help with registration, they can contact all our student support services, enrollment services, registration staff, financial aid staff online from 9 to 1 via Zoom. And just taking advantage of the payment plan. I know a lot of our students, they want to save up money for classes. This is the first beginning of the year. They have, some goals. Everybody has goals for the new year, but just encouraging them to take advantage of financial aid. We have a lot of resources to support our students, and we have a wonderful payment plan that allows the students to pay their tuition over a certain amount of time.
I've talked to Dr. Mike Webster, who I'm sure you know, our AVC over workforce instruction several times over the last couple of years, but particularly since the HERF funding came out, he said, now is the best time to go to a community college because there's so many funding options available, really grants that pay all of your tuition. Maybe you can talk, we've got financial aid, payment plans, but that HERF funding, is that still available for our students right now?
That's available for our currently enrolled students who are currently enrolled in a class. And those HERF funding can be used for, transportation. A lot of times our students don't have money for transportation, for housing, housing for rent, for food. We all know that many of our students experience, those challenges. There's one thing to pay for your tuition. It's another thing to pay for your textbooks as well as your living expenses. So that HERF funding is really helping out thousands and thousands of students being able to stay in class and not have to worry about buying a book or, paying rent. You mentioned that you guys are going to be open tomorrow 9 to 1 for last minute registration needs for those wanting to get into the spring semester. I imagine this is all hands on deck because even though we're kind of sequestered in a way, from what you're saying, you will have some staff available on campus, but in all, people can register online and those support services are available virtually as well. Right. We really encourage all our students. And again, as a matter of also convenience, why want to get in your car and fight traffic when you can get the same quality of service virtually in Zoom. We do have very, very few personnel on staff, and that's only to help those students who may have not got the communication that we're virtual, but we'll direct them to our virtual Zoom sessions. And it's a wonderful opportunity to get, to be able to be at home or be at work and get services virtually. Going back to the HERF funding, because it's real important for a lot of our students, I guess the key here, and what I've heard all along since the beginning when we first were granted this money, you have to be enrolled as a student first. So get enrolled. And then from what I hear, the HERF funding is released at certain times throughout the semester in 2 installments? Right, exactly. As students will get communication from the financial aid team and directions on how to apply for the HERF funding. But you're right, Todd, the student has to be enrolled in a class. And go ahead. So get enrolled at HCC. HCC Southeast is open for business. We've got classes that are enrolling now virtually, some of them in person, but one way or another, we're going to get them through the semester. That's right. And we can't wait to see our students. We have some amazing students, and we cannot wait to help them and support them and help them achieve all their goals that they set out for.
Well, we wish you a very successful semester. I know you're excited to get the students in there and excited to get things going on Tuesday.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks for having me. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Dr. Frances Villagran-Glover, who is our president of HCC Southeast College. We'll see you again soon. Okay, Frank, I'm going to turn things over to you. You've got a fascinating story, and we've got a great guest that's going to tell us all about it with a new film. Go ahead, Frank, take it over.
Absolutely, Todd. Thank you for that. So moving on to Kathleen Crist, Executive Director of the Houston Area Parkinson Society and our Film Friday guest. Hi, Kathleen. How you doing today?
I'm good, Frank. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm doing great. Thanks for being on the show today. So you got a lot of great things going on, man. And we want to learn all about your great work with the Parkinson Society. But first, please tell us about this astronaut.
Okay, so, Rich Clifford was an extraordinary individual. We're actually re-showing this video. Unfortunately, we lost Rich Clifford at the end of December. And after a long battle of Parkinson's, though, he didn't die related to anything with his Parkinson's disease. And so kind of in his honor and his memory, we're re-showing this video, which was done and released in 2014, I believe. He was part of our advisory board when he was living here in the Houston area. And we took an active role in making sure that his story was told and that this video was produced, although it was produced and directed by Zach Jankovic and his production company. But his story is really extraordinary. I mean, this was a man at the top of his career at NASA, full-on astronaut, diagnosed with Parkinson's young, in his 40s. I think he was 42, totally out of the blue, wasn't expecting it, just noticed his arm didn't swing the way it used to, which is not uncommon for people with Parkinson's disease. Came down to the medical center and was kind of given this very life-altering diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. But he was just a really great role model for so many. Kept it a secret because he had, still career aspirations that he was trying to achieve. Really monitored it very closely. Had a good medical staff at NASA, and then here in the medical center with his movement disorder specialist, and was able to, complete a couple of spacewalks while having Parkinson's. He was, on the Mir space station and did a spacewalk and was able to contribute a whole lot just in those missions. And then kind of got back to Earth and realized, that he didn't know how this disease was going to progress, and that he probably needed to retire and do some other things. And so once he did that, he really came out with his Parkinson's and started talking about it more publicly, and really went to work for the Parkinson's community in terms of advocacy and helping raise awareness.
Kathleen, how involved was Mr. Clifford in the production of his film?
He was really involved. If I welcome anyone to join us. I mean, this is going to be held virtually next Friday, and they can access the sign-in or the registration and get the link to the event through our website and through our calendar that's on our website. But he was actively involved, and they have great clips. In addition to interviews with Rich, they also have great clips that NASA provided. Zach was able to follow him all over the place. He was really ready to tell his story and just very enthusiastic. And I had the great honor of knowing Rich and working with him for a number of years. And he was just an extraordinary individual, sweet and kind and intelligent beyond this world, and just had a wonderful perspective on life and even with his Parkinson's, it drastically affected a career that he loved. And he was a big proponent of, don't let it get in the way of living. You just keep going and the sky's the limit. So he really went to work to make sure that people know that life is changed because of Parkinson's, but it's not over.
Wow, that's quite amazing. I can't wait to watch the movie about Mr. Clifford. That sounds like a great groundbreaking movie. Ms. Kathleen, please tell us some facts about Parkinson's and what it all entails.
Sure. So Parkinson's is a movement disorder. So it's a neurological disorder. It primarily affects movement, but there are certainly also some non-motor symptoms that accompany it quite a bit, actually. Things related to change in autonomic nervous system function, mood, sometimes the way the brain processes information, and so it's progressive. It's slowly progressive, but it does progress over time. It doesn't change an individual's life expectancy. So people can live with this disease for, 14, 20, 30 years, depending on what age they were diagnosed. Average age of onset is somewhere, around 55 to 60, although like in Rich's case, some people are diagnosed earlier than that, in their 20s, sometimes their 30s and 40s. And, primarily, like I said, it primarily affects movement, and individuals, their balance becomes impaired. Sometimes people have tremor. We used to see the tremor a lot when we thought about like Muhammad Ali, but not everybody has tremor. So it presents very differently in each person. And the course of progression of the disease is also real different. So it's important in those cases, in all cases of Parkinson's, that we really focus treatment options and long-term disease management on the individual and kind of how it affects their life. There's roughly about 1 million people in the United States who live with Parkinson's, and maybe about 7 million worldwide. Although what we do know is that it is now the fastest growing neurological condition out there.
I see that. Yeah, I remember being a small kid, and I remember Michael J. Fox, one of my favorite actors in the world. He was on a show called Spin City, and he had the show because of his Parkinson's. And I might have been 13 or 14 at the time, but I remember it becoming an issue, not understanding what it was exactly. I guess my question is, I know it's the fastest growing neurological disorder in the world. Has there been any studies to why is now the fastest neurological disorder right now?
Well, they continue to do a lot of research in the area of all neurological conditions. What we're learning about this is that there's a certain amount of exposure that maybe we had underestimated, exposure to things like pesticides and herbicides, other toxins that are in the air that we're breathing, and so there's a lot of speculation as to what causes it. Certainly, we also wonder and are curious about things like head trauma and head injury. Certainly that might have been the case with Muhammad Ali, but not a given. And so there's a lot that they're doing in terms of research related to genetics and other issues, but it seems to be fastly progressing in terms of numbers of people diagnosed.
And it's about, on average, about 1 million people. Is it nationwide now that has Parkinson's on average, or?
Yeah, nearly, I think the estimate is nearly, we don't have a real good database for tracking. And so we don't know numbers exactly, but what they think is about 1 million people in the United States. They look at roughly somewhere about 72,000 people in the state of Texas. Then, percentage wise, that ends up roughly 20,000 people in the greater Houston metropolitan area. So it's still not, it's one of those diseases that affects every aspect of an individual's life. But it is something that can be managed. There are lots of treatment options for Parkinson's, which we are really grateful for: medication, exercise, surgical interventions, and then obviously support, which is what we do here at Houston Area Parkinson Society.
Hey, Frank, I've got a question as well. Kathleen, I had the honor back in the mid 80s to meet Muhammad Ali at an event, and we had dinner, and at the time, he couldn't really speak much. He could react. He did the joking with us, and he signed things for us, but he had problems speaking. Does Parkinson's affect everyone differently? I know there's some characteristics, but that seemed to be something I remember very well with him, is his speaking was affected. Does it affect people differently?
It does. I mean, there are some kind of cardinal features of Parkinson's, but then from there, it gets real different from person to person. Speech is often affected, but not always a guarantee. And we don't exactly know if it's going to be something that happens more mid-stage or later stage. Again, this is something that people can live with for decades sometimes. Sometimes it shows up as kind of an inability to speak or a very soft voice.
Yes,
sometimes it shows up as real fast speech or very slurred speech. So we don't, there's no way of really knowing what an individual will experience until it kind of happens. And so speech therapy is a big part of kind of preparing for that, and then working to repair that. Although, it's still, again, a progressive disorder. So these are all symptoms that tend to get worse over time.
I guess, could you tell us a little bit about your nonprofit group and how people can get involved?
Sure. So we serve the greater Houston area. So it's an 8-county area that we serve. We've been around since 1974. We're not affiliated with any of the national groups. So we do everything locally, put services back into the local community. We serve individuals who have Parkinson's, their families, and then also individuals who have an atypical form of Parkinson's, which there are many. And primarily we're focused on support. We don't provide medical care, but what we do provide are, education, lots of education opportunities, exercise programs. What we do know is that exercise is both neuroprotective and also, helps perhaps slow the degeneration of the disease or the progression of the disease. We also offer support groups and then social services to families, which we all customize based on what individuals need. So we pre-pandemic, and our programs are starting to roll back out in person, although have been a little delayed, like HCCs. We're having to do a lot more virtually and put a little pause on things. But all of our services are free of charge. Pre-pandemic, we were running about 200 exercise and support groups a month. So it's a pretty big, vast network, but all people have to do is give our office a call, go online. They can, hapsonline.org, they can reach out to us. And we've just got we're a small staff of 7, but we do a lot of direct service with the community. And then our programs are out in the community. So we don't have, a facility per se. We have offices that we operate out of, but then we have a lot of things going on in community centers and faith-based, organizations and that type of thing. So, it's real easy to get involved, and people can use our services as much as they want that works for them.
Kathleen Crist, she's the executive director of the Houston Area Parkinson Society. We appreciate you being here this morning. If you're interested in the society, how you can get involved or just get some information, we'll have a link in our social media post after the show. Thanks, Kathleen.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Frank. It was good to meet both of you. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, Frank, we've got a few announcements. Main thing I want to skip on down to just to make sure that everybody knows about. Monday, we got a 3-day weekend because Monday, Frank, is Martin Luther King Day. And in honor of that, HCC will be closed on Monday. So no up to the minute. So you're off, Frank, on Monday.
I'll take it.
We'll take it. That's right. So make sure you celebrate the day, enjoy the day, and we'll see you back here live on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Also, Frank, spring semester is underway. It's really your last chance to register. Second start is coming up, but if you want to get in the spring, there's one website address they can go to and they can register right now.
Absolutely. It's hccs.edu/now. We have so many modalities, online anytime, online on schedule, hybrid, in person, hybrid lab. So please get in while you fit in right now. The sooner the better.
The sooner the better. Make sure you do it now. Okay, Frank, a little bit of sports. We know the story. Houston Cougars still winning. They're doing great. The Astros haven't started yet. We expect big things from them. The Rockets, okay. They win a game every now and then, lose about 5, but there's hope there with that team. But what team is more hopeless than hopeless has ever been? I mean, if they could put the Texans on milk cartons because they've been missing for years. The Texans, what the heck is going on there, Frank?
You know what, Todd? When the news dropped yesterday that Carly was getting fired, I didn't understand why, because it's like you had nothing there. You had no talent. You had no direction. You have an owner that has no idea what he's doing. Your starting quarterback has been gone all year long. So why are we firing him? Like, you brought him in just this past July. Like, what is the issue? Like, what? Like, why is he the scapegoat? I don't know. It's confusing to me.
Well, he's the smart one because he's walking away with $22 million.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad for the guy at all. Like, I mean, I think Holly was, in the later stages of his career, great payday for him.
Yeah.
But it's just another example of the franchise having no direction. They have no blueprint. They have no plan of action. I don't even think they know what they want to draft.
Realistically though, I did watch the last few games because that rookie quarterback, Davis Mills, turned out to be a pretty darn good quarterback. Next to Mac Jones, best quarterback in the draft next to Mac Jones. And he was a 3rd round pick. I think they hit it with him. Deshaun Watson, I mean, he's just not going to play for this team again. They can say they're going to bring in Brian Flores from Miami, who was mysteriously let go. He's not the answer with bringing Deshaun back. From what I hear, Deshaun is just never coming back, maybe unless they get new owners, but that's not going to happen.
Well, here's my concern. Like, Davis Mills did play great. I know they had a big win against the Chargers a few weeks ago, helped knock them out of playoff contention. He has a lot of potential. Here's my concern, though. I don't want to get to a point where you bring in different head coaches, different offensive coordinators every single year, confusing this young kid with new philosophies. It's going to destroy his development. You remember David Carr back 20 years ago?
Yeah.
He had 4 seasons in like 5 years.
And no offensive line. He was sacked the most. It was a record number of sacks. So that's got to shake up any young quarterback. But, he went off going to another team, as most Texans do. They go somewhere else and win a championship. What does that say? The coaches that leave the Texans, they go off and win championships. What does that say? So the Texans, they're just Texaning. The David Culley thing, I guess it didn't surprise. Nothing really surprises me with this team. Nothing really does, because you've just learned to set your expectations low and be surprised like the end of the year when they actually played some games that were good at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember watching an interview with Andre Johnson. He's on this Players Tribune with a couple other former NFL players, and a lot of people don't realize this. Andre Johnson was a consultant for a year after he retired from the Colts and came back to the Texans. He was there for a year and he left. He said he left because there was no direction.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's still this way today.
Yeah. Nothing's changed. There's no direction, and, it's just, you can't call them a dumpster fire, because that's a disgrace to dumpster fires around this country. Dumpster fires are at least raging, and they're considered a dumpster fire. The Texans are, worse than that. So there's your hometown team, folks. But the Houston Cougars, football finished strong, basketball looking good this year.
Absolutely. I think the Cougars, they just continue to reload in basketball, man. Like they're going to be a Final Four competitor for sure come March and April. They have so much talent, so much length. It's just a great program. I can't wait to see them in the Big 12 in a couple of years as well.
Absolutely. Well, Frank, it's always good seeing you. We're running out of time, but we'll hopefully see you again soon. I know you're a busy guy these days, so getting Frank on the show is a big deal. So it's always good to see you, Frank. You'll be back hopefully next week, but we'll all be back on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Monday's a holiday. We got a 3-day weekend ahead. Stay warm out there. It's going to get cold this weekend. And have a great weekend. We'll see you Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. live on Up to the Minute.